This podcast is sponsored by Mighty Capital, an early stage venture capital firm that capitalizes on the growing influence of product management in corporate success. Notable investments include Amplitude, Grok, and Canela. Hi, I'm SC Moatti, founder and board chair of Products That Count, the producer of this show since 2017, and a 501c3 nonprofit that helps everyone build great products and engages over 500,000 product managers worldwide. Products That Count celebrates product excellence through coveted awards that honor great products and the professionals responsible for their success. It accelerates the career and rise to the C-suite of over 30% of all product managers globally by providing exceptional programming, including this award-winning podcast, for free. Learn more at productsthatcount.org. In every episode, you'll learn the secrets of a great product leader. Let's meet today's host.
Hey everyone, Products That Count community, product leaders. I am Hoda Mehr, CEO of Products That Count, and today I'm your host with a special guest who you all know and have seen her content, have seen her voice, and have read her newsletter. So it's a special episode with SC Moatti, our founder and chairwoman of the board. SC, thank you for taking time and doing this podcast with me.
It was going to be fun. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So you and I were having a conversation. 2024 is coming to an end and 2025 is starting. And one of the privileges you and I and the Products That Count team has is that we get to talk to a lot of product leaders, a lot of product managers, and we hear about what is on top of their mind for them for the new year. And in our conversation, we talked about 5 predictions based on all those conversations with product leaders for product management space in 2025. So I'm very excited to go through this and have a conversation about our prediction for product management in 2025. Are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do it.
Good. Okay. So the first one, it's a very exciting one. It's all about obviously product management is all about the return and generating return for the stakeholders and shareholders and employees and all that investors, all that group of people who are supporting the product. So it's all about performance of product led. What is our first prediction for 2025, Bessie?
Yeah, so we had a hint of that in 2024, thanks to you. And it is really that companies that are product-led outperform their peers financially. And by that, I mean in the market, like with their valuation, their market cap. The data points we have are both in the private market with the portfolio of Mighty Capital, the venture capital firm that I founded and run, where the fund is outperforming its peers because the companies that we select are product led or product first. And then we have data points in private equity with some of our board members running companies that are owned by private equity firms, and they're essentially generating venture capital returns on private equity size companies. So it's really an outperform a case of another case of outperformance. And then the third data point we have is from your experience in public markets, where when we select a statistically relevant sample of companies and compare the ones that are product led and have a chief product officers and the ones who don't, they outperform the market. And it's been a great year for the economy in general. We believe that the trend is not only going to continue, but it's going to accelerate in 2025 significantly. And I know that the definition of product led is still something that we are working on. Stay tuned for more on that next year. But there's a set of metrics that make these companies particularly relevant. I wonder if you want to maybe share some insights on what you see. What are the key metrics that is are drivers of outperformance.
Yes, of course. It's interesting. It's very timely. I was in a conference a couple of weeks ago, and there was a room of product leaders and CPOs in the room where we had the same conversations around why companies that are product led are outperforming their peers, public, private, and private equity. And there was like four or five things that came out of it. But maybe what I would say, the top reason that everybody agreed in the room of those CPOs sitting in the room around why the product-led companies are outperforming was attention to KPIs and outcome, which is a quite different mindset or even approach in a product-led companies. Product managers, by nature of who they are very data-driven, as you know, KPI-driven organizations or people, and then by the extension of that, the organization become really outcome-focused. You know, we're all optimizers, right? We find a KPI that matters, and then we do everything we can for optimize to make sure that KPI or that few set of KPIs to improve. So that was first reason or characteristics of a product-led company being outcome driven. That's why they focus on that outcome, and then it results into driving better performance. That's number one. And then number two, I'll talk about the two that in the room everybody was really excited about and everybody agreed on. So it was around the culture and mindset. When you are a product-led organization, you are in this growth mindset. We talk about products like can always about growth mindset and how important it is. And everybody agreed a good product-led organization has a different culture. It's a culture of experimentation. It's a culture of not getting stuck in one route and actually being very flexible and trying to do different things to be able to drive the outcome. In that room a couple of weeks ago, all the CPOs agreed on these two: outcome focus and a different kind of culture with growth mindset and culture of experimentation that leads into outperformance. Have you seen any other characteristics in these companies that leads into better performance?
Yeah, so if I double click on, what the key metrics are that are sort of leading indicator of our performance, I think LTV, lifetime value of the customer, is a big one. I think profit margin is another big leading indicator. And what we're seeing is chief product officers are increasingly responsible for P&L. Our research is more than half of chief product officers are responsible for a P&L. And so these metrics, right, lifetime value, revenue, profit margins, they fall on them. Those are all the leading indicators that I'm seeing.
Yeah, I love it. It's actually interesting. I didn't mention this at the beginning. I just refreshed the study that we did last year in 2024, still this year, but earlier in 2024. So more than basically in the public market, only half of the companies generate ever positive return for their shareholders. But then when we look at our sample of product-led companies with winning CPOs and the ones that actually have a CPO in their executive suite, the outperformance goes up to almost 80%. So there's like a significant difference, at least in public market when I refresh the data. And I know it's, as you see in the private market, it's probably the same. It's not just, we're not talking about a little bit of a outperformance. We're really talking about a significant amount of outperformance and generating returns. So that was interesting, even after a couple of months refreshing the data and looking at the data, the gap maybe even is bigger in terms of financial performance. So you said something really cool about product leaders, chief product officers owning the P&L, which is a great segue to our prediction number two, which is about CPOs are ascending to become CEOs. So do you want to elaborate on that prediction?
Yes, that's one of my favorites. So, when we started Products That Count 7, 8 years ago, it was all about how do we influence engineers? Like product people were the good citizens of corporations, leading by influence. And then during COVID, there was a massive rise of the, even appointment of the number of CPOs, and product entered the C-suite. So it's only just recent that there are enough product people in the C-suite that we can track what happens to them. And
Mm.
so for the past essentially 18 months, what we've seen is that chief product officers are getting promoted to the role of president and CEO way faster than any of their peers in the C-suite. What that means is because companies that have a CPO that are product led outperform, you know, companies are realizing the value that they bring and they're promoting them to, again, president, CEO. It's only just normal, right? If you think, take a step back and you look at like the world becoming so technology driven, you need leaders at the top that are going to be business minded, but also understand how technology can be turned into value. And so that's not the traditional members of the C-suite, and that's not the technical side of the C-suite. It really is what product represents. So we, believe that this trend is going to continue to accelerate. We're going to get more and more data points to make this a statistically relevant prediction.
Mhm.
And that's really kind of a number two on our list for 2025.
Yes, and it's sort of a confirmation of this proverbial wisdom that we have in product management that say product managers are CEO of maybe their own feature, and then the CEO of their own maybe product, and then the CEO of the entire company. So it is actually, we all knew intuitively this is the destination we're going from CPO, from product management, to become CEOs of the company. But now we see that actually in the data, and the predictions are coming. Very exciting. Very
And
exciting for product managers, right? This is a path for them to actually run companies. They don't have to always just to stay in the product management track, but they can have bigger and broader responsibilities. So that's
yes.
good.
Yeah, I think it says a couple things as well. Number one, the responsibilities of a chief product officers, like it's not just product. In fact, if you don't empower your chief product officer with more than just product, the impact that they can have is very limited. What we're seeing is more than half the time, product like chief product officers are also responsible for engineering, design, analytics, and then on the business side for marketing, customer success. And the broader their role and scope of responsibility, and the more likely the digital transformation project or whatever you call that, AI transformation or something else. And so really it's sort of replacing in many ways the role of kind of a CTO meets COO. That's really kind of the right hand of the CEO.
I love that you brought it up because it kind of sort of feed into our third prediction, because it's all about AI, a role of AI in future of product management, and how AI as a technology. Everybody's think about AI first. At first, it's a technology, but now we're making this prediction, and we see the evidence of it obviously in conversations with product leaders, that AI and decisions around AI is redefining product management, but also redefining leadership. And we think it's going to be even continue to happen, and maybe in an accelerated way in 2025. So what have you seen in the market around the role of AI and impact on leadership and product management?
Yes, that's really where a lot of the conversations, like the business conversations, are taking place. I would say like 90% of the business conversations are centered around AI. And there are a few ways to look at it. The biggest one for chief product officers right now is how is AI going to drive more revenue? That's not an obvious one because that's where a lot of business model disruption or business model innovation is going to be coming from. There is still a need for CPO to spend time on how is AI going to drive productivity, or how is AI going to reduce costs. These are three different kinds of conversations. I would say that, for CPOs, all of them are going to be relevant, but if I was going to make a prediction, they're going to spend most of their time on the productivity and revenue aspects. On the revenue aspects, to come up with essentially new products, new lines of revenue for their organization. And then on productivity to, in a way, reinvent the way they're going to build their team. So, for example, if you're a chief product officer today and you're in transition, what you bring to the table is just not just you and your leadership. It's you, your leadership, plus hopefully a set of, you know, agents that are going to augment your team. And so you're coming in to a new company where you're going to lead a team of people and a team of agents that are going to help you do the job. So it's really magnifying the impact and the productivity that you can have. In 2025, we think that's going to become a must-have because product is obviously the most innovative function. So they need to lead the way when it comes to the way they lead and the culture that they set.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And it's basically, if you think about it, 2024 maybe, or even 2023, but it's like a year of experimentation. Everybody getting excited about what this AI is about, how can we do it, and maybe small experimentations happening in across the company. But it sounds like people are moving towards, okay, experimentation is good, but like how do we actually generate outcome and revenue and cut costs using AI? So that's really on top of the mind from the conversations with a lot of CPOs. Sounds like they're focusing on now, okay, let's just use AI for bringing real outcome and let's move forward beyond just experimentation and feeling really cool. This is really cool
I
ideas.
There's one more thing I want to add. You know, AI for the sake of AI isn't, you know, going to really have a lot of impact. And particularly because customers of the CPOs that you and I are talking to are very concerned about the ethical aspects of AI. And I think that it's also something that's really top of mind for chief product officers because, of course, you know, their scope of responsibility is not AI as a technology; it's AI as a business and value enabler. And so, um, you know, understanding how AI can deliver like transparency and trust is also a huge aspect on their agenda for 2025.
Yeah, because basically AI is, to your point, is not just a technology decision, but it's a broader business decision. It impacts people, it impacts the consumers, it impacts the users. So it's not that you're just making one single, oh, we're going to use this new technology, but it has ripple effect across all aspects of the business. I love how you and I have this conversation because every part of our conversation kind of feeds into the next prediction, and that's sort of how our minds work. So we talked about so far, just to recap what we've talked about in terms of predictions, product-led companies are outperforming financially. Second was CPOs are on their path to becoming CEOs. Being a product leader, it's a great path into becoming CEO. And then we talked about AI is redefining the role of a CEO as a leader in organizations. And then, sort of at the end of the conversation, you were talking about the ethical and AI being beyond technology, which feeds into our fourth prediction. Well, obviously AI is pretty new, so you don't necessarily, not everybody, even the CPOs, have all the skills required to be able to use AI as a business tool. So our prediction, the fourth prediction, is that in the AI era, there's a massive requirement or focus on reskilling for product leaders, for product managers, and maybe the entire organization. So, what are some of the evidences or conversations you've seen and had in the market with chief product officers?
Yes, well, this is one that I think you're right. It's like the tsunami. Every single product manager who, you know, every single one of the 500,000 product managers on our platform is coming to get educated on AI. Like, how am I going to leverage AI for my feature, for my product? And I want to share maybe a few data points. One is the companies that we partner with, and maybe you have a couple of examples that you'll be sharing from the Walmarts, Ford, Cognizant, SoFi, and many more, large, small. That is a top priority for them. They're investing massive amounts of money to upskill their PMs, which means that if the market leaders do that, very soon the market followers are going to have to do it as well, so that they can keep up. So while in 2024 it was mostly those, incredible market leaders, in 2025 reskilling is going to be absolutely a must-have, not just a way to win market share. The second thing is, when you think about reskilling, um, it really has, you have to look at how many products out there are supporting and enabling product managers. And our product awards program, which started about 6, 7 years ago, with what, 500 or so nominations, now has almost 9,000 nominations, and the year's not even, begun.
Yeah.
So it's like a massive growth in just a few years of the number of tools that are helping PMs do their jobs. And most of it, the very large majority of those tools, are AI tools. So I think it's, again, to your point, like, this is a couple of examples of why it's a total tsunami.
Yes, it is total tsunami. It's almost like there's no AI company. There's like every company has to be an AI company. It's very similar to when they were saying that there's no digital in the past. Like every retailer needs to be, this is like a couple of years ago, any retailer has to be digital. Every bank needs to be technology driven. Now we're just sort of kind of rapidly going into this next stage or cycle that every company is an AI company. It's not that you're different, it's not that you can make a decision around, oh, am I going to use AI or not? It's like everybody need to use AI. Otherwise, the gap between you who is adopting and those who are not adopting keeps getting so bigger that it's very, very hard to catch up if you just don't see yourself and your company as an AI company. And to your point, we see that in all of the nominations, even last year, and even more dominant this year when I'm looking at the nominations of product awards. We have fintech company who's their advantage is basically leveraging AI. We have healthcare companies, so it's a healthcare AI company, fintech AI company, legal tech AI company. Like it's basically just everybody need to find a way how to use AI, otherwise they fall behind. This is actually really interesting because we see in the market or as a conversations I have with product managers, with our advisory board members, when they talk about their teams, it sounds like there's two groups of product managers that are emerging. There are the one who are like, I'm so excited, this is great. They're actually taking charge of their own reskilling, like they go tinker, maybe they go figure out, maybe they build a few things, they're experimenting with all different tools, and now they're like actively thinking about how can they become better product leaders, accelerate their own career using their AI skill. And then we have maybe a very long tail of product managers that have a negative reaction or maybe fearful reaction, not negative, but fearful or uncertain. They feel uncertainty in the face of just sort of this AI revolution, as we call it, which feeds into our fifth prediction. And it's the anxiety. We predict the anxiety around what's going to happen to me and my job. It's going to even get bigger, and it's going to be a lot more predominant in the product management space. So I'd love to actually kind of like have a conversations around, first, obviously, let's understand this prediction together, but then I'd love to hear your thoughts around if you were a product manager in your middle of career and then you were dealing with this AI, how would you have changed your own approach to your job so that you be part of those leader categories as opposed to the ones that are fearful? So it's a two-part question, but let's first understand the AI anxiety and what are the things we see out there, and then we'll talk about the next part.
Yes, I think you nailed it, right? Like, part of the reasons, um, I think the market followers are going to have to step up is keep up. But the other part is maintaining morale on their teams and kind of alleviating that fear that, oh, I'm just going to be replaced by an AI. So I think that trend is going to be critical to maintain like really good, culture inside of product teams. Um, I would say that, to your second question, and I've been getting that question more in the last 6 months than probably in the last 2 or 3 years. What should I study when I graduate, or what can I do to become a better PM in the age of AI? there's a couple of things to realize. The first thing is, uh, you know, the world is a hard place, and if you want to advance in your career, you have to show measurable results. And so, for folks who are early in their career, my recommendation is study more the hard science, right? And so that you can get into a position where you demonstrate your impact in a measurable way. For example, I've grown engagement by X in the last 6 months, or I've helped acquire X many customers, or generate this much revenue in the last year or so. So easy to measure targets early in the career. And then the second part is understand that with AI, and it was true before, nothing's changed except it's going faster. You will need to reinvent yourself every few years. It used to be, like back in the boomer generation, you spend your life at one company, you never really had to reinvent yourself, but that's long gone. It was every maybe 7 years or so. Now it's probably closer to every 3 to 5 years. And so planning for that, right? Becoming a master of change, which essentially is the quintessential quality of a PM, having a growth mindset, right? Whether it's going back to school, whether it's, consuming some of the amazing content that you and your team produce at Products That Count, or something else that is going to constantly help you stay sharp. That is a must-have in the age of AI. And then the last thing that I would say is, if you look at previous major transformations, you just take, for example, the last one, the digital transformation that companies like Google and Facebook introduced. What happened is, if you take Google, somebody was going to, go study in college and become a librarian, right? So they would master where to find the book about this or that topic. Well, with Google, obviously, that job went away. But the person, like a generation later, who would have become a librarian now has become a digital marketer, right? So they're essentially using the tools that were created by Google. So the jobs of searching were replaced for the most part, but the job of using the tool created by Google were created. It created an entirely new industry. And so today, if you apply that to a tool like OpenAI, the job of the general like market analysis of or the job of a junior analyst may go away. We don't know yet, but it may go away. But there are a whole new set of tools and a whole new industry that is going to be invented that we don't quite know what it is yet, but that is going to offer more jobs to people. So staying aware of these cues, that really is what matters.
Yeah, I'll share sort of like a personal little story. Been tinkering with custom GPTs and OpenAI tools and stuff. And what I realized is that the AI tool itself is just so powerful. It can look at so many options. So the role of me as a human is like pointing the AI to what problem to solve, right? Otherwise, if you give them any problem, it can solve and it can like bounce off ideas with you, or it can do much faster, like look at the data and like summarize the data, all that. But at the same time, it just has no preferences around which one to solve and then what is the approach to take. Because again, it can kind of take any approach to solving a problem, right? So as a human, you're really like in the front seat, like you're the driver. And I found that that's when I changed my mindset around, like, I'm not doing the work, but it's actually, I'm telling the AI and point it to the right direction. And then the AI by itself, it doesn't make those decisions. It doesn't distinguish, do I solve this problem or the other problem? Do I go down this rabbit hole or this other rabbit hole? So it's really the human is in charge. So if you, as a product manager, understand that your role is not to do the task. Your role is to point it to the right direction and then have this critical thinking around, is the answer right? Do we need to go deeper further, or do we need to add another dimension to it? Then it's just suddenly the world opens up to you, right? Because now you have this like massive, powerful tool available to you. But obviously this is like at a personal level, but then at a company level, think about how many more projects and how many more features and how many more new initiatives can be started, because then you could point them to multiple directions. Um, and I share one anecdotal story, which was very kind of interesting. Um, it was like end of the night. I was just playing with with GPT, and then I wanted to go to bed. So I told GPT, could you solve these problems and do this research while I'm sleeping? And can I come back to you and ask for the result? It was very interesting. It says, have a great night of rest. I will prepare these things for you. And then in the morning, I went back and said, what is the progress you've made? And then it's like, boom, actually did significant progress. So I'm like, oh, I can actually do work while I'm sleeping. That's like, what's better than that with AI? So very, very cool. So it's like, I guess our prediction, the last prediction we made is that there is a anxiety emerging in face of AI for product managers. But then you and I having a conversation around, there's no need for that anxiety. It's just a shift of mindset around how you would use AI.
Absolutely. What a great story.
Yeah, it was really, I got, as a finance person, I knew that they say make your money to work for you when you're sleeping. But then this was a little bit further, like make AI to work, do your work while you're sleeping. I'm like, this is fantastic. I just don't need to do anything. I can just rest. So great. We went through five things. I'll recap it, and then maybe we would have one final conversation around the overall result of all these predictions on where product management goes. So we talked about product-led companies outperforming financially. That's one our prediction. We've already seen the evidence of it. It will continue. We talked about CPOs and product leaders are on their way to become CEOs and taking the charge of the entire organization. The third one is that AI is changing leadership. So as a CPO or as a chief product officer or a product leader, we're expecting they're making more decisions, not just product decision, but technology decision or, marketing decision. It's a more comprehensive, it will become a more comprehensive role. We talked about reskilling in the AI era becomes a big priority for organizations. We have already seen that in a lot of our partnerships and people who work with us in our certification programs. And then we talked about PM anxiety around AI. It's growing. So those are our five predictions. I guess my question to you is, knowing all these predictions, if you were a product leader, a product manager, chief product officer, how would you prioritize your time, your team's time and resources in 2025 so that you be riding these predictions in these waves as opposed to following them?
Yes. It's the perennial, the quintessential job of product, I don't think has changed, which is, put the customer first, listen to them, and then have a growth mindset so you can quickly evolve and adjust, and then bring technology and innovation into your corporation at scale, not in a small experimental way. I think you pointed it out with AI right now, we're exactly at that kind of key transitional moment where when we look at customers, their worry is, can I trust this? Is this ethical? How is this going to impact my own customers and my own business? So really pay attention to those signals. Then in terms of the growth mindset, addressing that anxiety, it's going to be there. And in fact, it's sometimes a good thing that it's there because it keeps us on edge. It keeps us innovating. So keep that growth mindset, and then bringing that technology, which we've been experimenting with for the past couple of years, bring that technology at scale, which means it has to be generating revenue, improving productivity, reducing costs, but somehow have a very strong business impact besides the fact that it's so cool, so powerful, so exciting. I think
Yes.
2025 is going to be a phenomenal year for product.
I agree. But for the product leaders with the right growth mindset, it's going to be a phenomenal year. And we're going to see companies, my sort of like add-on prediction is that we're going to see companies that are going to like get to this velocity of like growth and differentiation. And then the companies who are going to like struggle here. And then, the winners are going to get bigger and bigger again with AI. Um,
Yes.
Very
And
good.
product folks from products that count, you guys all want to be on the right side of that divide that Huda's describing.
Well, of course. I mean, by the fact that they're part of the products that can community just says that they have the right mindset. So
Yeah.
we are blessed with a great sort of growth oriented community, which we love. Well, excellent. Those were our five predictions. Essie, I mean, I want to appreciate and thank you for taking this time. I know you're super busy. End of the year, probably really, really big time with AI. Lots of companies coming to your way for investment. So thank you for taking this time. And I hope that we maybe come back at the end of 2025 and see which part of our predictions were right and what are the things we didn't get right, and maybe some of the new predictions for next year. So I'd love to have you back on the show and have that conversation.
Thanks. That was so fun, Hoda. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, appreciate you. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, everyone.
This is SC Moatti again, founder and chair of Products That Count. Thank you for listening to this episode. If you like what you heard, be sure to leave us a review on your favorite platform, including Spotify and Apple. And please check out our other resources at productsthatcount.org. They're designed to accelerate your product career and make product the most important function in business. Until soon.